Okay, today we're gonna be exploding one of the Owasp Skf labs Docker containers. So let me just switch on to it. So basically, I'm gonna start up a Docker container which is gonna contain this Owasp Skf lab, in which we are giving a web page and it says SQL injection. That's the very first thing we were given. So we're assuming SQL injection, and it's asking us to find a SQL injection in this page, but since we have the Docker container, we don't really need to do that. But we could have an idea right now by clicking around. It looks like the SQL injection might be around here because the number changes. So if you put 2, 2. But just to be sure and not be kind of guessy, we'll look at what's inside the Docker container. So if I switch right here, clear this. And then if we go inside the Docker container, let me show you the Docker PS. This is our app that is running. This is the lab. So now if we do docker exe /-it and then the container ID, and then we're gonna make a bash shell. If we do that, we get a bash shell inside the Docker container. And then if we look at the code cat.app.js, we see that there seems to be Sqli in the page ID, because it's getting the page ID and it's selecting page ID from title, content from page, where page ID equals the request parameters. And right here it looks like a SQL injection, and since there's no filtering allowed, we could probably do a bunch of errors right here, or a bunch of stuff. So if we go back to right here, so let's just do a union. Let's just try airing out some errors. And we see right here SQLite error. So because assume that the database is SQLite. So I guess the whole point of this is to try getting admin access, or trying to dump the database. So I guess first thing we will want to do is go back to right here. So select page ID request. So if we just do something called SQLite union SQL injection, I guess a brief summary what this is: when an application is vulnerable to SQL injection are returned within the applications, the union can be used to retrieve data from the other tables within the database. So we're going to be using the union keyword to retrieve data from the other tables within the database. So I guess first thing we want to do is for this attack to work successfully, we have to determine the number of columns required in a SQL injection union attack, and also finding the columns with useful data types in a SQL injection union attack. So for union types, we just have to do order by until we get like an error or something. So if we just do right here order by 1, and then let's just put some commas. So see, nothing happened, everything still stayed the same. But now if we do 2 and just enumerate, nothing happened. Now if we go on to 3, nothing happened still. Now if we go on to 4, we get an out of bounds error. So we know that the database only contains like 3 columns. In fact, yeah, the number of columns required for the union attack. So we know at most it can only contain 3 columns. So we can only have 3 columns. So we go back to 3, order by 3. And now the next thing we have to do is finding the columns with useful data types in a SQL union attack. The reason for this is to be able to retrieve the results from the query. So the results from the code, we want to be able to see it. So we'll just copy this payload. Put it right here. Select, and then this is, it's just gonna be no, since there's 3 of them. So A is gonna be 1, no is gonna be 2, and no, the third one is gonna be the third one. So if we do this, nothing. We don't see the A pop out anywhere. Or do we see A? Yeah, nothing. no A pops out. So what we do next is just put null right here and put A right here instead. See if anything pops out. Oh, and look at this, it pops out. So we could use the second value to retrieve our stuff. And then now we can still keep this right here. And now let's see if we could replace this with a value or not, or where could we display our stuff. And right here, so it looks like only the last two parameters will work, or will display data from our database that we're using. So now we have union, which is we could access, like we says right here, we could access retrieve data from other tables within the database. So we could do that with union, and we're selecting, well, I guess we're not selecting nothing, but right here, let's just see what else this gives us. So if we look right here, look at this, use SQL injection to attract or retrieve interesting data. So when you have determined the number of columns returned by the origin and found which columns can hold the string, you are positioned to retrieve interesting data. So we could get interesting data from this. So we could retrieve contents from user tables by submitting our input. So we could do something similar to this, but adjust it for our means. So if we just copy this, so what we're doing is selecting the username and password from the table users. So if we were to do this now, we should get the username and the password from users. So we type that, and look at that, we get the admin, which is the admin username and the password for admin, and boom, SQL injection. And just to be sure, we could just like cheat our way through and then look at the Docker container itself, and then cat initiate, and then we can see this seems to match with what we have on our thing, on our output. So we were able to retrieve the admin and this as well. So that's pretty cool. And I guess we were kind of lucky for the most part because it was the first value inside the database, so that's why it was the first thing retrieved. If not, we would have to retrieve other stuff. So but anyway, I guess that's about it for this video. This is just, I guess, new recurring series. I'll see if I can improve, but I'm on a new distro too, so it makes it kind of difficult. It was a lot easier on Windows, but I'm trying out Manjaro. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and that's about it. Peace.